Welcome back to day 124 of our chess journey to 1500 ELO on chess.com. Let's just get into it today. I'm raring to go. Which opponent do we get today? We get Ike Malacara from Argentina, and they are rated 1279. This has to be our lowest rated opponent in a long time. We have an Indian game. We get this, which is quite funny because this is one of the openings against which we have the lowest win rate. Normal variation here, apparently, it's called. Let's come up, grab the center. We get this. I don't quite know the theory here at all, but I'm trying to play a bit quickly here and play logical moves, because this is definitely not unknown territory. At least not entirely. We'll come up. This is an option here. We have transposed into what's called a Larsen variation by bringing our bishop out to e4. Now this is playable, which I didn't quite take into account here when playing the bishop up. Maybe h3 might have been better. We're still here, I guess I'm just playing quick moves and trying to get to a decent position with more time than yesterday, hopefully. Okay, so why is this not just a free pawn? Let's try and have a look here. If this is played, there is this, and... or well, first of all, here, and what happens here? Then, I guess... that's actually not all that easy. If we take, and the knight jumps here, if we go here, there is this, and then we have pawns here, but there is also this as a follow-up, and our pawn structure would be looking like this, marked by the red squares, which looks less than ideal. But let's evaluate this. Let's evaluate it quickly. In this position, we might have this move here after all, which might be a whole lot better than the alternative. Of course, here, and this would be good, so I think we'll be taking. We will be taking this, and we should hopefully end up with a good position. Here, I think we might even have this pawn. I was looking at this. This gets complicated. Takes. But I think we have... no, we don't have a desperado here, actually. Because if we take here, our opponent can take here, which also does threaten our queen. How about takes? And then takes here. And takes. Might just be trading down all the material, which is not necessarily ideal. What do we want to do here? This. And as I mentioned, this doesn't seem ideal per se because of this. But now, if we start off like this and play this, if this is played, then I think we might have the option of coming in here and then we threaten the rook at least without this threatening a queen, because our queen would be gone. So I think we'll start off by trading queens. Then we'll take here as we calculated. If this is played, we come here, but it's not played. This is played instead, which is a move I did not consider, but I think it's not bad for us. It might be, but I don't see it immediately. First of all, we might have f4 here, just holding on to the knight. But I was looking at an alternative like this. So let's try to evaluate what happens here. If this is played, and we get this, then takes, and this seems like it just loses the pawn advantage, if I counted correctly. This is a commitment for sure, but we could even castle here if we want to, and the pawns could help us offensively. It's just this drops the defense here, and the knight could come out, and this might get annoying, and might also invite stuff like this. So what else? Can we come here? Then, but this is just the same, I guess, and this comes with a check, not ideal. I don't love the option here of going f4 because it's honestly quite weakening. I don't expect the computer here to evaluate. Well, my sentence got killed off there, but it's for a good reason. I considered this fork all of a sudden, which I did not see previously. But yeah, I think we'll go here. And if something comes to f4, well, then we'll take it from there. This is played. Did I just overlook something here? I guess I did in fact do so. This is not ideal. Here takes, and this is still an option. But I think we're forced to take though. We're pretty forced. So we'll take, this is likely to be played, but it's not. Interestingly, it's not played. And here we might have the option of coming up with a desperado move, losing us less material than we might have otherwise lost. This as well. This actually forces this move. After which I was going to mention this move, but once the knight gets out, it gets difficult because we're pinned to our king. So I think this is more likely to be good. But then this, and we can't defend this and this, so maybe not. I think this has to be a mistake, but I don't think we can punish it all that easily. Would have loved being able to jump in some interesting way here. This is what I just did not love, because here we are tied to the pin. Only way to defend against losing material there is this, and this, as I mentioned, not ideal. Not ideal. So what do we do? We might just drop back here, but then this and this is not quite fun either. There is a complexity here which I did not expect to encounter. Let's say we go here. What I mentioned I was worried about is this. Is it an avoidable threat? What would we play here? This hangs, and this hangs. Yeah, we can't defend all the stuff there. We're going to lose something. So this is out of... It's not a move we're going to consider. Let's just leave it at that. If we don't move this knight, then it's probably going to be this knight. 6 minutes. I'm spending so much time. Honestly, might just castle. But all the stuff is just hanging here. It's such a bizarre position. I'm considering this, and after this, this hangs. Why does nothing seem to work? But Daniel, you have to play a move. Just play something. Let's see if this is played. Takes. I think I don't love it, but we'll castle here. This will be played. Now what is the best move? We can come here and take if we're attacked. I think we could come here actually. Defending the knight, so when this happens and we get this, we are protected. This pawn here is defended by the king now from when this opens up. So I don't think that's entirely bad. I don't think so, at least. We'll find out. I'm finding it's difficult to find good moves today, but we'll see what we can get done. If this is played, it's not an immediate threat, I don't think. At least I don't identify it as being all that dangerous, but we could drop back perhaps, trying to prevent this and defending this, opening up this. Might be an option for sure. Don't love the direction the game has taken. I thought we had a bigger advantage, but well, let's just say our opponent played some good moves, and I don't know if we ever did have an advantage, in fact. Might have blundered a slight advantage. might even still have an advantage, or we might be at a disadvantage. This is honestly not the easiest to evaluate, at least I don't think so, because at my level here it's not that clear. There are complications, and both kings they're not quite safe, either of them, I'd say. The bishop comes out here, which I think is a good move. Most likely we'll just be coming up here and playing h3 on the next move. Yeah, knight to f6 still doesn't work. Let's come here, this and this, I guess. But this knight comes out. I think we'll still kick the bishop out. If it goes to h5, it's lost by the means of traps. This, and the knight gets targeted, but I don't think we would mind having our bishop on e4 if we get takes. So I think a good move here is likely to be this, putting pressure on this pawn, which is only defended by this bishop. Don't love the pieces here like this. A problem here is if this knight moves, let's say here for instance, just an arbitrary move, then this, first of all, it loses the pawn, and this bishop is unprotected through the X array. So we do still have some problems here to deal with, as our position is not the best in the world. Let's say this is played. I think it's the best move. Let's try to come up with a solution prematurely. What would we play? Honestly, if the bishop comes here, I think we could come here even. This might not be all that bad, because now the bishop would block the rook. It's just we're kind of just stacking up our pieces in the center of the board for them to be skewered and whatnot. This has to be fixed. But it's all going to depend on what our opponent plays. This is a move. Looking for this and for this. But if this is played, I don't think it's a threat per se. I think first of all we could take here and open up this, and second of all we could just slide on over as well, defending this, and the bishop is defended by the rook. But then this and this knight has lost its defender, so it's not trivial for sure. Our opponent here has started spending time. We get takes. This isn't something I considered. Can we not take here though? Then this hangs. The bishop still hangs. Let's say we come here. What does our opponent do? Still, this knight isn't looking ideal, but it can't be taken yet. There is this move. How about going here, this. But we have to start off with this move, so let's just play it first. We have to conserve time here. Our opponent's moves are difficult as well, so we might just be forcing them to bleed some clock here for the next couple of moves. Hopefully they forget about the bishop hanging because of the length of the moves, but I don't expect that to happen at all. So this bishop has to go from this diagonal because it's kind of controlling some important squares here, and we might want to double, for example. Now it's important to note here, this knight here has to move at some point. We can't go here, I think, because this doesn't help us. We don't want pawns like this, at least not if we can avoid it. One move might be this, applying pressure on the knight. It's played. Not a big surprise there. So here we either have to move the knight or we have to defend it. I don't think we want to keep defending it, because defending it would have to be done with a move like this, and then we just keep pinning ourselves, which would be no good. So we move the knight, okay, maybe here, threatening to capture the bishop, and we could have this and this, and we still apply pressure here, and I don't think the position looks bad at all. So let's play this move quickly, saving time. It's not a bad move, I don't think so. This might be first, it's played. This essentially forces our hand here. This pawn is still hanging. This pawn is weak. Our knight is not in an ideal position, but it's kind of covering some infiltration squares down here, so it's not all that bad either. This might be played. It's definitely an option. Defends this pawn. Then I think probably just... No, the problem is taking here, and this becomes annoying. Didn't consider this move. First intuition here is coming here, which defends both pieces, but it leaves us with a rook on a square which we don't want it to be on. Second move I'm looking at is this, and it might set up a trap, I'm realizing, because if takes, can the knight be evacuated? I don't think so. So this probably forces the knight back, after which we still have pressure. Let me just calculate this quickly once again. Where does the knight go? Yeah, I think I've settled on nowhere, essentially. At least I do not see where it goes if it takes. Now there is this and this. This as well. A5 might be played. If A5 is played, I think we probably go here, but maybe not, because there is this, and the bishop gets pinned, and this pawn is pinned to our king, and might get difficult to defend all our stuff there. Might want to get this rook in on the d file, might want to leave the c file with our king, so this does not become a problem. This might be played, defending the knight and the pawn. But if that's played, we might have this, and we might be able to pick up the b pawn. So there is still some complexity here, for sure. Although the pawns are quite symmetrical, and we don't have a piece imbalance. I think 2 or 3 moves and we should be in a good position. It's just we don't want to give our opponent free moves if we can avoid it. This is played, which I did mention. But do we not just have a 3 here? And if this is played, the knight is lost. Here, this and this. If this is played, we take. If this is played, we take. Here, we go here. If this is played, we go here as well, and we should be winning the b-pawn. So I think we'll be coming up. Now this might be a target as well, which would be quite nice to see. This would be fun because essentially the knight gets trapped there. Then we go here and it can't come this way, it can't come this way rather, because of the bishop and the rook. We're down on the 7th rank. We might have ideas like this paired with, well, something, we'll find out what. And I think the activity there looks quite promising. Most likely this is the best move, after which something like this might be good. Let's see here. It's played, this knight here. Is there a threat? Well, not quite, I think. I don't feel like there are any threats, so we'll probably take the pawn. The bishop here controls b8 as well, so our opponent can't quite use the b file against us. Let's take. Hoping here I didn't miss anything. There is this move maybe, which I didn't consider. If it's played, I think we go here, and if takes, we take, and hopefully this is not all that bad. Still, there is this potential looming threat if a rook ever gets here, but there is no rook that can get there easily because of our bishop still. The knight needs to get into the game, but we'll see what we do about that. Our opponent here sacks this pawn. Well, they don't. The knight defends it. Never mind. Okay, this is likely to be played next. Do we have a good response? I suspect we do. Namely this move. Maybe not, I guess, because there's this, and this. So maybe not, maybe not. Okay, so if that's not an option, how about coming down here? Now it loses the bishop. Why is this position still so difficult to play? Wow. Maybe this, but I don't love it. Definitely don't. The threat here is essentially this fork, but we could trade material, I guess, by coming here and this maybe, and we could get the pawn as well. This might be decent. If this is played, we win the knight. No, we don't, because it's difficult. How do you evaluate this position? Is it good because we get the piece, or is it bad because our king gets exposed? Two bad pieces. Problem is we can't come here because of this, and we can't come here because we have no control there. The knight, if it moves, We lose control over those two important squares here, and this rook can wreak yeah, it can cause problems. Can wreak havoc is what I was going to say. But I guess the brain just short-circuited. This is played. I was hoping for there to be some tactic here, but probably not. It's not worth our seconds. This will be played. We might see this. Problem is if this is played, this becomes difficult to defend. If this is forced, what will we play in response? Most likely, I think this move actually. Yeah, I think it's essentially forced. Now this is played and it's a check, which I missed. I guess we'll sidestep. And we lose the bishop as well. Not a whole lot we could do about that. But still, we're even in terms of material, so it's not necessarily all that bad. Let's pick up this pawn. This might be played, or this. Either move, I think we come down here and defend the pawn. This could be played, it's not though. We have one move here, namely this. Now this pawn here is not defended because of the pin. So if this was playable, it would have been a fork. Just making mental notes here to myself. An option here might be this, in which case we might try to force some material off the board. If this is played, we would have to go here so as not to lose this pawn. What else is there? We have this covered so the rook can't come in. First and second rank covered by the rooks. The knight can't get hit here. Can't double like this, but our opponent could come around and try doubling like this, which could be annoying. Let's say this is played. We have to defend this pawn. Probably something like this, this, and this. Not ideal, but it would have to be played. Then our knight gets free to move, I think, and we could take it from there. Our opponent down to 3.5 minutes. We are below 1 minute. This is played. Looking for this. Guess we have to dodge so as not to get our king pinned. But I think this is a step in the wrong direction for our opponent, because I think the bishop was better along this diagonal here, because this pawn is defended by another pawn. This is an option. This and this as well. We have a few alternatives here. I think it's a good thing we have our king on this side of our pawn majority, because in an endgame that's going to be quite important, I think. Or it could become important at the very least. This comes with tempo, but it allows our opponent to come in here, and that's no good. 2.5 minutes for our opponent, looking good. They have to come up with a plan, and I think we have a pretty good defensive setup. So I think our opponent should probably settle for playing for a draw, although they seem to be playing for a win by how they move the pieces. A pretty decent move is probably just this, and coming down here, forcing off a pair of rooks perhaps, and we might even have an option of coming here. This is weak. I think we're kind of spoiled for choices. Our opponent goes for simple tactics. They want to hit the knight. Here I think this becomes a move, because we can't go here still because of this. An alternative here might have been this, but it's a dark square. We don't want that. How about this? Takes. Looks good as well. I think this is actually quite decent. So let's play it. Not a whole lot of time here, but it should be sufficient considering the complications are kind of clearing up here. This would be ideal, as the resulting position should not be all that difficult to play. The reason that's the case is because we're up one pawn, we have our king on the side where we have the pawn advantage. I didn't consider this as a move, although it's quite creative, I have to say. I think we have to take. This has to be the wrong response though. Now we can come here and activate our knight, whereas if the rook took, it would have been difficult to move the knight, I think. The bishop can't quite target stuff. Our opponent blunders a... no, they don't blunder a pawn. And we hopefully don't blunder a rook either. Okay, so if we don't play that, what do we play? How about coming here and pinning the bishop? We have this in the air as well, which might be good. Importantly here, the knight defends the rook, so it doesn't seem all that bad. This could be played, might be the best response, or is it? Because there we have this. Which seems like it might lose material for our opponent, potentially. Importantly, our pawns here are currently in light squares. Let's trade down, I guess. Our opponent kind of forces our hand. We'll push, come up. This should turn into something okay. At least I hope so. The king comes up. It's all about activity here. This is an option for sure. And I don't think this looks bad whatsoever. This might be played. Trying to come in here maybe. Let's say this is played. Where do we go? If this is played. Let's come in with tempo. Our opponent here intends to trade off the bishop for our last pawn here, if given the option, and then win our pawns and advance a pawn here. Hopefully we can avoid it by blocking off our opponent's moves. Let's come here, our opponent's going to go here. We'll threaten the bishop. And now our opponent lost. This is just a queen, and it's coming first for us. We promote with a check, so the margins are on our side. Would have still been in our favor. This is good as well. We maintain our knight advantage, and we get a queen down here. This looks okay for us. Our opponent plays on though. We'll have to prove a knight and a queen beat 2 pawns, which might not always be as trivial as we might want for it to be. But we're up to 1.5 minutes now, so this should hopefully not become a problem. Okay, so I think we'll start off by checking. Trying to get in from a decent angle here. The king comes out in front of the pawn. Let's check, come a bit closer once again. We might try to pick up this pawn at some point. This is a check as well. Gets us a bit closer. This is probably not the best approach. At least not the textbook approach. Oh, this looks good. It forces the king up, and then we can come here maybe. And the king is cut off from the pawns, I think. At least we can play this maybe and come in here, and all pawn mobility is shut down. Or this works as well, I guess, and we can come here and this pawn can't be defended. So this looks promising as well. We have this. If the pawn here pushes, we're good. This is good as well. Now we get both pawns for free, and the checkmate here should be trivial. Our opponent resigns and we get a win today. And today I'll try to remember to thank our opponent, because I forgot to do so yesterday. One mistake. Let's have a look at the game review. Thanks for the game, Ike Malacara from Argentina. So what does the game review say? It says we played with 83.7 and our opponent played with 76.5. We had 1 blunder, 2 mistakes, 4 inaccuracies, a game rating of 1900 to a game rating of 1850. let's just go through the moves rather, and see how we should play differently, or how we could improve on what we did at least. This was all theory. Apparently, I guess this might have been better, maybe not. This here, d5 is apparently best, but I guess on a deeper depth it's not as good as it might look like. This is quite funny though. This is still theory. We're at move 8. This was a mistake. Here, what should we have played? Was this a move? Not the best move. This was simply good. Because the problem here is once we played this, we got too much loose stuff. This pawn push move was best, but we had a lot of problems here to deal with. Luckily we did find some good responses, but it didn't become easy at all. All the good moves here. Best move here was apparently going here, but that's no good. This, as I mentioned, takes, and there is... Never mind, this is not a move. I guess I was just blind there. Happens. This was quite bad though. The best move here was apparently not the check even, it's takes. And let's say we go here, then this, and actually this pawn is entirely undefendable. Maybe? No? No. We can go here. No, this, here the stuff falls apart. Okay. I see, didn't consider this. Our opponent went here, which apparently is better for us. Some good moves. Played a bit more accurate here in the endgame. Computer agrees with me, this looks better, although it is not as good of a move in comparison as I thought. We had some good moves here. This was a winning endgame. This blundered a draw. Oops. Should have apparently went here, and what would we have played here? Oh, I guess we keep the king out with this maneuver. I didn't see it. Played this, and this blundered the game away. Should have just defended by going back with the bishop. And then we can't quite do this. We would have to find a way here of probably... Problem here is this, and I was looking at this, but there is this, so it doesn't work. So it's still just a draw. Yeah, it's just a draw here, but this blunders the game once again, and the conversion here is quite trivial. This was best. This was good as well. Apparently we had a mate in 2 here with this move. Why? If this is played. Oh, okay. It just works out geometrically, I guess. But we got to this position. Apparently this is not a mate. It's just plus 6.5. I don't quite think so, Stockfish. You might want to turn up your depth. Well, this, all good. We got the pawns and we forced our way to victory. So we recuperate some of our losses from yesterday when we did, in fact, lose a winning game. So once again, thanks to Ike Malacara from, was it Argentina? I'm learning the flags here. Yes, it was Argentina. Thanks for watching to the end of the video, guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your days. This has been our video for today, our game rather, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.